What is up? Welcome to No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. We are getting ready for week 6. Week 5 is done. No major injuries for any of us to bitch and complain about this week, but week 6 brings its own set of problems. We have another London game, two teams on bye. It's going to be an interesting one. Let's help you make some lineup decisions. What is up? Welcome to No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. I am your host, Ryan Weiss. No Joe Zolo this week, but if you followed Club Fantasy at all this week, you're used to seeing these two faces, me and Josh Hudson, doing another show again. Josh, this will be our 6th hour spent together this week, I'm pretty sure.
Take 3!
Yeah, exactly. You guys have dominated us with your questions Monday and Tuesday. I expect the very same from tonight. So let's not dawdle. Let's not waste any time. If you haven't already, like the podcast, subscribe to the podcast over on YouTube. If you happen to be watching or listening on Apple or Spotify, hit that follow button. We do this for you folks. We 100% do this for the listeners. We know we spend a ton of time on questions, but I promise you, in between the user questions, there's a ton of really good fantasy info, and we do this 5 times a week. We're here for you guys. Make sure you guys show us some love by hitting like, subscribe, and follow. If you are tired of waiting for your question to get answered over on YouTube, we do offer Super Chat. You throw us a little bit of money, we answer your question a little bit quicker. And Josh, before we get into NFL news and notes, why don't you go ahead and let folks know about our partnership with Trophy Smack?
Absolutely. The fantasy football season's here, and Trophy Smack is where you want to get all of your rewards. They have trophies, rings, championship belts, all designed to tell your league mates who the real champion is. So hit the link in the description of this podcast and check out some of the swag that you can get to gloat and lord your accomplishments over your league mates. It is all available at trophysmack.com/club fantasy.
See all the questions piling up in the chat already. I'm going to let you guys know we're going to do news and notes. We're going to do we do a segment first or no? We're going to do news and notes, and we're going to get to your questions. Every question will be answered on this show. If you've watched us before, you already know that. If you're new, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Josh, NFL news and notes this week. Bengals went out and got a quarterback literally minutes after our Tuesday show ended. They traded for Joe Flacco from Cleveland. Cleveland gets a 5th-round pick. Bengals get Flacco in a 6th, and they have already announced Joe Flacco will be the starter this week against the Green Bay Packers. The Jags have placed Brenton Strange on IR with a quad injury. He's out at least 4 weeks. Tyrone Tracy off the injury report for the Giants and is expected to play this Thursday tomorrow against the Philadelphia Eagles. Darius Slayton already ruled out for that game. Kyler Murray did not practice today with a foot injury. Lamar Jackson did not practice today with a hamstring. I've been looking a lot into this Lamar thing, not sounding like he's playing this week. Marion Hampton officially hits the IR. Chargers have brought up Kamani Vidal from the practice squad. They did go get Naheem Hines for their practice squad. He'll likely be elevated on Sunday. Brock Purdy dealing with that toe injury. Ricky Pearsall dealing with the knee injury. Juwan Jennings dealing with the ankle injury. 49ers are still dealing with a bunch of did not practices. Pearsall is not expected to play on Sunday. Jalen Coker coming back off the IR for the Panthers. Practices Wednesday. The Colts add Michael Badgley to replace Spencer Schrader, who tore his entire knee. He's out for the season. Odell Beckham is accepting a 6-game suspension for PED use. Jonathan Gannon fined $100,000 for that sideline altercation with Amari DiMercato, and Jerry Jones fined $250,000 for flipping off a Jets fan. Josh, I guess let's start with the Bengals, and then if there's anything else you want to talk about from this. Does this fix the Bengals? Because I have thoughts.
No, it doesn't fix the Bengals. We talked about this in the offseason with Joe Flacco, and I literally said the Browns would be stupid to start with Joe Flacco as their quarterback. They're clearly shifting the narrative of this team. They want to run the football, and they need to control the clock. They don't need to air it out. That is what Joe Flacco does. He throws the football. So what they do these first 5 games of the season, they threw the football a ton. It didn't get them anywhere. They miraculously found a way to beat the Packers, but having Joe Flacco throw the football 40 times a game was not helping this team. The Bengals will throw the football because they have to. That's just how they're built. So he will fit in with what the Bengals want to do. The problem is you put a 40-year-old statue behind a Swiss cheese offensive line,
lots of sacks.
You're just going to be getting a lot of empty throws and hospital balls to your wide receivers.
And then the one thing I'll add to that is Flacco only has 2 fewer interceptions than Jake Browning.
I was going to say, like, this really does not make this team better. Like, Joe Flacco was throwing a ton of interceptions. You could say that it's simply because the Browns wide receivers aren't near as good as the Bengals wide receivers. Or you could also just come to the conclusion that Joe Flacco at 40 years old is not a good quarterback anymore.
Yeah. Vince Mapstone says Flacco will be dead by halftime against that Packers pass rush.
Yeah, could very well be. Not going to lie.
And then Joseph Navarro, we said this. Why they did not go after Jameis, we don't know. Or at the very least, Russell Wilson or one of those Giants quarterbacks does not make a ton of sense. That's for damn sure. Josh, any of this other news stand out to you? Obviously, Brenton Strange, for those who have been streaming tight end, not exactly a great injury, but not a loss to the fantasy community overall. Obviously, a Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray would be a concern.
Yeah, in terms of Brenton Strange, I think that hopefully this opens up more opportunities on offense for Travis Hunter. They actually got him more looks down the field on, I believe it was Monday when they played the Chiefs. So, like, hopefully that will come into play. Like, they'll use him on more of some of those, like, 10-plus yard seam routes that they were throwing with Brenton Strange. Maybe that opens up more opportunities for Parker Washington, who's been very involved in the receiving game there. They started to get Brian Thomas Jr. more looks downfield. There's more things that can come from this, which is a good thing for fantasy managers. As a streaming option, okay, cool. You move on to the next one, but he'll be back in a month and we can go back to streaming him on occasion.
Yep. Anything else?
No, I think those are the biggest news. So.
Well, the questions are piling up because this is our life now. Let's start
That's
with Smitty.
okay. That's what we're here for.
Let's start with Smitty, who was in here before the show even started. Current running backs are Monty, Rashad, Hendo, and Marks. Is Breece Hall a good trade target? Which of these running backs would you give up? And he mentions which 3 of the 4 would you keep. So I think he only has to give up one of these guys, Josh. And I think you and I are going to agree wholeheartedly it's Rashad White.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you can sell high on Rashad White, I'm going to do that 100 times out of 100. But once Bucky comes back, like Rashad White's just relegated to passing down work on occasion. I mean,
so I don't know what the
trade starter, right? So
I don't know what the trade package is that turns Rashad White into Breece Hall, but I'm making that trade all day because he's making it out like which one would you get rid of when he asked this question, and the one out of this group that has no future is Rashad White.
Yeah, Marks is going to have a role. Nick Chubb is older. He's likely going to fade. He offers a lot more passing down upside than Nick Chubb. Henderson is going to see more work now that Antonio Gibson's out for the season with a torn ACL. It's just a matter of time with how much more involved he becomes. So those are guys that I'm okay hanging on to. Rashad White is simply a handcuff at this point. Honestly, what you really should have done was sell high on Marks to get Breece Hall last week. And take
again. I don't know what the whole trade is. Yeah, if you got to move Marks and Rashad to get Breece, go get Breece if you can pull this off.
I was literally just looking at it because Breece Hall was in another question. Breece Hall is only like the RB22 in points per game right now, so it's not great. But he's averaging 5.3 yards per carry, has 24 targets in 5 games. The problem is he's just not scoring touchdowns, which we kind of knew was going to be a problem anyway because this Jets offense sucks.
Yeah.
But he's still producing. So,
Jaquarius, is Jalen Warren a good start this week? Josh, I've been wrestling with this all week long because obviously Warren coming off of the injury. You're coming off the electric Kenneth Gainwell game. You're going up against a solid Browns defense. I'm probably avoiding Steelers running backs this week if I can.
Yeah, I mean, Warren's upside obviously lies in the passing game. So I think he still offers a pretty solid floor when it comes to that, especially if you're in PPR leagues. So I would classify him more as like a top, like outside the top 20 is kind of where I would have him. So, I mean,
I am at 28 right now.
Okay, so we're at least along the same lines there. So you would have him more as a flex play, which I think is appropriate.
Absolutely. Marvin Cano, Isaiah Bond, Jerry Jeudy trade pieces. Yes, 100%. Both for Shakir or Mike Evans. He actually asked this question with a better list a little bit later. Let me go find that real quick. He said there's a team looking to make a trade. And he can give up, Josh, Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy, Isaiah Bond, and Jacoby Myers to bring in Mike Evans and Khalil Shakir.
Shit, I would get rid of all of them for Evans.
For the 2 roster spots as well. I think that's the move, Marvin. I think you make that trade and move off of all of these guys. Every one of those guys, putting it bluntly, are roster cloggers. I am not in love with Jacoby Myers the way some in the fantasy industry are. Mike Evans and Khalil Shakir give you far better upside. Khalil Shakir is who everyone wants Jacoby Myers to be.
I agree 100%. Yeah, I mean, I like Ridley. He's going to be the best piece on, this Ridley, Jeudy, Bond, Myers clusterfuck. But Evans and Shakir are the 2 superior options here. Like, don't let the fact that Evans is currently dealing with a hamstring injury and is out right now cloud your judgment on him and his impact in that Bucs offense when he comes back.
100%. Make that trade. All 4 for 2. Traded Rico for Derrick Henry. I love that trade because in the long run, the best case scenario in Carolina is a time split. They're not taking Chuba's job away.
Yeah, I mean, Derrick Henry, he's still Derrick Henry. I mean, if this is a PPR league, he's going to see a lot of diminished value because so much of his value comes in bulk yards and rushing touchdowns. His value is going to bounce back when Lamar comes back. But as long as that Ravens defense is as bad as it is, Henry's going to take a hit. But exactly like you said, Rico Dowdle's in a timeshare at best. Yes, he just ran for over 200 yards, but he's still the backup. So unless there's something that comes to the surface that says Rico Dowdle over Chuba Hubbard, this was a steal for you.
I just want Vince Mapstone to know that I am seeing all of your narrative comments in the chat, and they make me chuckle every time. You bring light to this for me. I appreciate you, buddy. Smitty says, Bill or Breece Hall rest of season. I love Bill, Josh. It's Breece Hall for me, hands down.
Yeah, Bill's value is being insulated by touchdowns. He has 4 rushing touchdowns. Luckily, he's also averaging over 6 yards a carry, which is fantastic. And I feel like that he's very clearly going to be above 5, maybe even 5.5 yards per carry. I think anytime you're putting him behind a very mobile quarterback like Jaden Daniels, that upside exists. But he's doing nothing in the passing game. I think he has 8 targets on the season.
I will say it seems to be going up, but you still can't predict that.
Yeah, you can't predict it. And without Austin Eckler there, I don't know that they have a true, trustworthy passing down back, which tells me that in those situations where they might dump off to a running back, it's either going to be a Jaden Daniels scramble or a dump off to Zach Ertz. So that's going to, I think, limit Bill in, PPR formats. Now, if you want to talk half PPR or standard, I might be more willing to say Bill, but Breece Hall, I still think is the superior runner. Like I said, it's just touchdown upside that's hurting him right now.
It's also the more talented back.
Well, and that's the other side of it. Yeah.
But
talent doesn't always translate into fantasy, unfortunately.
That's true too. Mark Folkman asks Kamara or Jacoby Myers. He is worried that the Saints are going to start resting Kamara to make sure he doesn't get injured before a trade. I mean, I don't love Kamara this week, being perfectly honest. But I never loved Jacoby Myers, plain and simple. I think I'm going Alvin Kamara here.
Yeah, for as safe a floor as Jacoby Myers has had, that floor is cracking because the Raiders' offense is so bad.
I will say I'm just noticing Kamara has a questionable tag, so this decision might get made for you.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, look, if it's rest of season, I think it's okay to feel worrisome about Kamara, but even this week, I think I would still side with Kamara.
Joseph says he's been spamming the Discord about trading for Jake Ferguson. Would we trade Addison for Ferguson and Pollard? He already has Ladd McConkey, Tedero, McMillan, Cortland Sutton, Ricky Pearsall, and Christian Kirk if he moves off of Addison. His current tight end is Mason Taylor. I think Ferguson is the positional advantage this year, Josh. I'm making that trade.
Yeah, he might just be with the passing volume there in Dallas.
And you're getting Tony Pollard? Like, that's a monster.
Exactly. You're getting the tight end 1 right now, plus a piece at running back for a depth wide receiver. Granted, it's a good depth wide receiver, but you have the depth at wide receiver to make up for missing him, and it's a massive upgrade over Mason Taylor. I'm 100% making that deal.
Tucker Kraft or Tyler Warren, talk about champagne problems, Josh. This guy has my tight end 2 and my tight end 4. Right now, I'm not benching Tyler Warren. He is way too involved for me not to have him in my offense.
Yeah, it's volume with Warren versus touchdown upside with Kraft. Volume is always going to be the safer bet when it comes to the tight end position because the volume is there. Now you tack on a touchdown, you're talking about the tight end 1 overall.
Yeah.
Kraft volume is spotty at best, but he has weekly touchdown upside. Warren is 100% the safer play.
Yep.
Granted, I literally just swung a trade in one league for those exact two players, Warren for Kraft. So
I thought you meant you brought Bolton on your
team.
No.
It was literally I traded Tyler Warren for Tucker Kraft, like straight up.
Yeah.
So
that's because you are definitely a Tucker Kraft guy.
I am.
Weezer says, would we flex Dowdle over Bill or any of Waddle, London, Hall, or Judkins? He says it's champagne problems. Yeah. This comes down to whether or not Chuba's playing for me. If Chuba is playing, Josh, I know you're on this revenge game narrative, but Bill has a damn good matchup this week as well.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Dowdle this week if he gets 100% of the touches, or as close to 100% as possible. I mean, he wants to show Dallas, y'all fucked up. Y'all could have had me. I mean, granted, they're not missing him right now. Javonte Williams is balling, so could be a moot point. But yeah, I like Bill's matchup this week. And I just had it. Who the fuck are the Commanders playing this week?
Chicago. It's my game of the week.
Oh, God, yeah. Chicago. Are you kidding me? Their defense is god awful. I don't know that I would start any of them over
those wide receivers or those running backs. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, that's kind of I mean, I don't love Waddle this week. Miami's
That's a good point. I actually don't love Waddle either. I moved him further down my rankings than I thought, but he is still coming in as my wide receiver.
Pass defense has been really good this year.
It has.
I'm
still not starting.
I think that really limits his floor.
Yeah, I'm still starting Dowdle.
What were the settings? Did they put that in the chat?
Not.
Whether it's half PPR?
No.
All right. I mean, if it's PPR, I'm probably still siding with Waddle. Anything less,
I think that's fair. I think Dowdle over Waddle and half PPR standard makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Josh, is Jamar Chase a must start now with Flacco? I think he's the same as he was before, but I think Jamar Chase is always a must start.
Yeah, Jamar Chase is always a must start because, again, we all saw exactly, even with a bad quarterback,
it takes 7 minutes for Jamar Chase to be a top 10
for him to be the wide receiver too. Like, it's unbelievable how talented he is. Flacco's not going to make him infinitely better. We literally talked about this at the beginning of the show. Jake Browning has 2 more interceptions than Joe Flacco this year, and Flacco's only started 4 games. So, like, you're not getting an upgrade at quarterback. You're just making a lateral move and making a change for the sake of making a change because the media is bullying you into it.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase is fine. The problem is that he goes from weekly top 3 upside to top 10 upside every week. That's the only difference with Jamar Chase. That's it. You're just tempering expectations for what the ceiling is potentially week in and week out.
Yep. Pure guesswork on this one from SH. Michael Carter, or Chase Brown? Or is it AJ Brown, or I don't know who Mike would be at a wide receiver. I'm going to say Michael Carter versus Chase Brown, Josh.
Why? If that's the case, I'd probably go Carter. God, the mighty really have fallen, man. Jesus.
Yeah, I actually don't like this matchup for Arizona a lot this week for the running backs. So I had moved Carter down my rankings. I'm actually having trouble finding. Yeah,
Chase Brown plays the Packers though. Like it's not any better.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's not. I'm still going to go Chase Brown. He's the more talented player.
That's fair.
We're not going to spend much more time on this. I don't even know if those are the right fucking players. So.
Yeah, right. For anybody dropping questions in the chat, please be as specific as possible.
Yeah,
there's a lot of Browns and Smiths and Williams. And
the most common one lately has been Warren. You need to let me know if it's T. Warren or J. Warren.
Yeah.
So, Josh, I think we both agree. Both of these Panthers are sells because you don't know who's going to carry the ball. Though I do want to give Vince a little credit. Vince said they're not really known for a timeshare there. It's likely one of these guys is the lead back, and I think they'll go back to Chuba if that's the case.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they will at least go back to him at first. And if he's not getting the offense going the way that Rico Dowdle did against Miami, they're likely to make a switch and shift more of the responsibilities to Dowdle, right? It might end up becoming a ride the hot hand scenario. The problem with selling Chuba Hubbard, you're selling him at a discount now because Rico Dowdle just blew up and Chuba Hubbard's hurt.
Yeah, that's true. People could actually be afraid of acquiring Chuba Hubbard right now. Jaquarius, Tucker, Matthew Golden, or Bill at the flex. Josh, I think you're right about the touchdown upside with Tucker Kraft. I think this week against the Bengals, he's a fine flex play.
Yeah, he's a fine flex play. Again, I don't love burning my only flex on a tight end.
But of this group, he's not the worst.
Of this group, I think Bill is going to be the safest option of these 3.
guaranteed touches.
I'm not trotting out Matthew Golden until I actually see him finally pop and do something more consistent, because right now that Packers passing offense is going through Romeo Doubs and Tucker Kraft. Yeah. So I think Kraft is more the upside play here. Bill is the floor play.
All right. Let's get one more question in. Let's get a segment in. So we'll wrap this thing up with Trone. 4-1 right now. Wanted to upgrade at wide receiver. Moved DK and Rashad White for Nico Collins. He asks if that's a decent trade, Josh. I think that's an amazing trade.
That's a smash trade. You're selling high on Rashad White. That is how you play fantasy football.
Nah, great trade, Trone. You're 4-1. You're well on your way to 5-1. Folks, we see the questions. We're about 10 minutes behind on questions right now. We will get to every question, but Josh, let's get in to the player of the week, the smash play of the week. Last week I had Jahmyr Gibbs. He was not the smash I wanted him to be. I called him to be the RB1. Maybe you have this week's RB1.
We'll see. I'm going with Kyren Williams at Baltimore. Kieran's coming off of a 2-touchdown performance on Thursday night against the 49ers. So it'd be easy to say that maybe Kieran's due for some regression. But are we so sure that that's coming? Because the Rams are facing the absolutely dreadful Ravens defense on Sunday, one that has allowed 8 total touchdowns to running backs in only 5 games this season. Williams is no stranger to the end zone, having scored 35 total touchdowns in his last 33 games. The Ravens are allowing an average of 157 total yards to running backs per game on this season. And with Williams playing 77.3% of the offensive snaps so far through 5 games, he should have no issue securing at least 100 yards and possibly 1 score as the Ravens continue their defensive struggles in 2020.
I was going to say, the fact that they don't have Lamar Jackson doesn't matter for me one way or another in this. That defense is a sieve. And the Rams offense, as it always is just this well-oiled machine where you just have weapons at every position except tight end, but it doesn't matter. When you have Williams and then Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, such a monster offense. And what I love for this for you is by the third quarter, this could be the whole Williams game. We might not see a pass thrown in the third quarter.
I know. Honestly, my biggest worry is that the passing game is just going to absolutely dominate in the first 3 quarters. And they're going to be like, Kyren, you know what?
Take the day off a little
bit. Here's the Blake Corum show, right? So, but yeah, I'm going to bank on the stars. And right now, Kyren Williams is set up in a position to absolutely smash this week. And what I found really interesting is that the Fantasy Pros consensus rankings have him at 11 among running backs this week. And I feel like that is so low for the opportunity that lies ahead for Kyren Williams.
Well, Josh, I'm a part of that. I have him at 10.
Well, you're a fucking idiot, Ryan.
But I update my rankings during the show. I'm willing to move him at this moment to 6. So he is up to 6 now.
I'll take it.
Based on your call. You better not fuck me here, Josh. I don't want to give up my 86th best ranker in the world. I'm fucking terrible. Anyway, game of the week picked by yours truly. I'm going with Chicago at Washington, Josh. First and foremost, the narrative writes itself. Last year's number 1 pick versus last year's number 2 pick. Caleb Williams versus Jaden Daniels. Both of these defenses can be beaten. They're both kind of awful. I hesitate to call Washington awful, but they're pretty awful. And so we should see great scores from both Williams and Daniels, but then it goes a step further. You got Rome Odunze who's balling out. You got Deebo Samuel who's balling out. I don't care that Terry McLaurin's not going to be there in this game. You got 2 good wide receivers. I would like to say we were going to have 2 good running backs. I don't know that DeAndre Swift's going to beat up on Washington, but I do think, as we've already talked about, Bill could beat up on this Bears defense. They've given up quite a few points to running backs this season. This is the second highest over-under on the week between these 2 teams because, again, they don't stop anybody. Both teams in this game are projected to score 22 or more points, meaning we're looking at 3 touchdowns, which means this could easily be a 1 or 2 touchdown game for Odunze and Deebo Samuel, or even a 2 touchdown game for Bill. I think the quarterbacks get it done. I think that we see a lot of fantasy points, not a lot of defense. This is the kind of game I like to pick for my game of the week.
Yeah, 100%. And hopefully this is a DJ Moore staying consistent. He's had 2 really good opportunities the last couple of weeks. I just need a 3rd game so I can trade him. Just need a 3rd game so I can trade him. Or maybe it's a sign of things to come, but it's Rome Odunze's offense right now, and everybody else is just living in it. And You give Rome Odunze a good matchup, wheels up, baby.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right, guys, we know what you're here for. And girls, we know what you're here for. It is time to get back to answering your questions. James Coffey asks, in a full PPR, would we trade away Josh Allen and Ladd McConkey for Patrick Mahomes and Rashee Rice? Absolutely not. Josh Allen is an advantage over Mahomes. I do not care that Mahomes is the QB2 right now, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen is, look, he's the QB1 in fantasy. I don't care what the rankings are right now. Everything will shake itself out. Patrick Mahomes is throwing a lot more than usual.
No, Patrick Mahomes is rushing a lot better than
there's also that too. Yeah, I mean, he's leading the Chiefs in rushing right now. So, which again, I don't know that that's going to sustain itself over the course of the full season. I don't care much about stacks in redraft. So, like acquiring Mahomes and Rashee Rice, I mean, really at this point, you're probably getting about the similar production between Rice and McConkey. It feels like McConkey finally scored a touchdown this week, but he's not the preferred target this season. It's Keenan Allen, it's Quentin Johnston. So hopefully, last week was a, turn the corner for McConkey and he keeps going. But I'm still siding with Josh Allen here, the Josh Allen side.
Jennifer Sons, is Pitts worth selling for a second in a full PPR, no tight end premium? Jennifer, this all comes down to me about who you have as your other tight end. I assume Pitts is sellable for you, but Josh, to me, Pitts for a second feels about right if I don't need Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, in a non-tight end premium, you're not getting a first for a tight end unless it's Bowers or McBride, plain and simple.
Yeah.
So I think, if I can get a second round pick for Pitts, maybe you can talk him into throwing in a third or something because Pitts is having a good season.
Yeah, just negotiate that fourth into a third, and then you're only falling back one round. Or no, no. Oh,
I mean, you're still getting 2 draft picks. I mean, I don't hate that at all.
You're saying you want a second and a third. That's
what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay.
I would say like a second and a third for Pitts.
You definitely should not have to throw in a fourth to make this deal happen.
Yeah, no, I agree.
No, Pitts for the second is fair, but it does come down to who you have as your tight end.
I mean, granted, a fourth is just a throw in. Like it's not really of any consequential value, but no, I would agree, Jennifer. You giving up a pick plus Pitts to get a second is low, in my opinion.
There you go.
For those listening, that clearly was a dynasty question.
Yeah. Standard league, non-PPR, 1 quarterback. They have Murray and Daniel Jones. Should they move off of Murray and drop him to pick up Michael Penix, Sam Darnold, or Mac Jones off of waivers? He needs upside because he's playing against Love this week.
I have zero issue going and getting Sam Darnold right now. None whatsoever. And I personally would take Darnold over Murray right now.
Why are you forced to roster 2 quarterbacks? I just don't want to roster 2 quarterbacks, especially when you're telling me the names that are out there for waivers.
I'm okay with Daniel Jones having a backup quarterback on my roster because a lot of it is just we've seen too much recent history where Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones, right? And, it's off to a hot start now. And granted, I think it will continue. I think the offensive environment around him, Shane Steichen, everything is working his way, which is great. But we've seen it before. And again, we've also seen it with Sam Darnold, seeing ghosts, turning into pumpkins, whatever it may be.
I'd say
Murray right now really isn't much better, though. You know what I mean? So, and I said it earlier this week, Sam Darnold outplayed Baker Mayfield on Sunday.
Yeah. No, if you're looking for upside, it's Darnold. That's for damn sure. Josh, we're getting trades done during the show. Jennifer got it done for the second for Kyle Pitts and does have other options at tight end.
Love it.
Smitty says it's a 2 QB league. The guy wants to upgrade from Geno. He's sending Rattler and this is the 4 running backs. He has to choose one. So he's sending Rattler and Rashad White for Breece Hall. I think that's great. Yep.
Get it.
Great trade. Make that move. No, Vince. No. In the listener league, Vince sent me a trade right before Jake Ferguson blew up, and he has no idea how close I was to accepting that trade. And I changed my mind and countered to Mark Andrews, and Vince wouldn't accept that trade. No.
Hilarious. I love it.
Stephen George, Alec Pierce, or the Born Identity this week.
I love the nicknames. It's so much fun.
I didn't even see
Woods Girl, actually, one of our listeners, Woods Girl, commented on one of our videos asking a kicker question and called Eddie Pinheiro bread. And I was like, that's fantastic. I love it. I'm like, this so fits in with our Women of Fantasy show, the Sneaky Flex. I was like, man, if they ranked kickers, they would have such a field day with that one.
But yeah, with all those.
The Bourne.
Josh, if the San Francisco wide receivers are out, Bourne is the easy call here, but I'm not starting Alec Pierce.
Well,
ever.
Alec Pierce has missed 2 games too. Like, I mean, he's the ultimate boomer bust. Like, it's Bourne for me anyway. Alec Pierce could very easily get you a 0. Bourne could at least get you 2 catches if both those guys play. But for the record, they've already started to report that Pearsall is likely out this week. Yeah. So even if Jennings plays, I think we still get Bourne.
Yeah, Bourne still has a nice role.
Again, like, I mean, he'll still have a nice role. Brock Purdy didn't even practice today. And there's another opportunity. Maybe he misses too. And honestly, like the way that Mac Jones has played, why should the 49ers rush Brock Purdy back? Mac Jones is playing well. Let him keep going out there. As long as Mac Jones is playing, I love me some Kendrick Bourne.
Kendrick Bourne. Joseph Navarro, if Pearsall and Jennings are out this week, Mason Taylor, Jake Tonges, or AJ Barner. If the wide receivers are out, right now I have Taylor ahead, but Tonges would move ahead if the wide receivers are out again.
Yeah, I mean, Taylor is the ultimate volume play. We'll get to Justin Fields a little bit later. Taylor's seeing a ton of targets, which is great. Denver's pretty tight against tight ends. So I don't know that there's a ton of upside there. The thing with Tonges, he's very touchdown reliant, right? It's kind of the same thing with AJ Barner. So
Barner for sure. We're chasing last week's points on Barner.
Exactly, yeah. And truthfully, and really what you're doing with any tight end, you're chasing touchdowns. Taylor's the only one that offers any semblance of like potential volume.
Yeah.
So I think if that's the case, maybe you lean Taylor because I think his floor is safer. But I think trying to remember the matchups. Who does San Francisco have this week? Oh, they've got the Bucs. Their defense sucks. Give me Tonges.
That's where I was too. We buy Holmes, standard league, non-PPR, Henderson, Higgins, Harvey, or Jennings.
If Jennings plays, it's Jennings. It's not particularly close for me.
Yeah, that's kind of where I stand. If Jennings doesn't play, Josh, I guess I'm going T. Higgins with Joe Flacco just to see what the hell happens.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with waiting on, like, I'm a huge TreVeyon Henderson fan. I want to see TreVeyon Henderson. One of our Women of Fantasy Football shows, A Claire Perspective, it covers the Patriots. And, you know, Claire has gone in with a lot of different guests that cover the Patriots, and they've talked about this running back rotation, Mike Vrabel's trust in Stevenson, despite the fumble issues, you know, and they've talked about Henderson. He's a rookie. Like, let him figure out the offense before we start anointing him the next great thing. Like, he's still learning things. So we need to just kind of exercise some patience with Henderson. I get it. We're probably going to miss his big breakout as a result, but you kind of have to trust the more established weapons at this point. I understand, you know, the Higgins situation in Cincinnati is not great at the moment.
But I mean, none of these situations
are great right now. Harvey's in the same situation as Henderson, right? Yeah. Like, he had a prime opportunity to get heavily involved against Philly. He couldn't do anything.
Yep.
So, like, for me, it's Jennings, Higgins, and then I would probably go Henderson, Harvey. That's how I'd rank them instead.
There you go. Joseph Navarro, and talking about that Addison trade, Addison for Ferguson. Josh, if the counteroffer pulls Pollard out, would you do Addison straight for Ferguson? And again, I think the advantage is there. I would make that trade.
100%.
There you go. 100%. And then Steelers defense or Packers defense? I do have both of these teams top 5 this week. But the fact of the matter is the Packers get a statue. I'm probably going the Green Bay Packers. I have them 1 spot ahead. I have Packers at 3, Steelers at 4. That could change by Saturday, but right now I would go Packers, Josh.
I saw a fun stat, and I know I'm going to butcher the year, but the last time that a quarterback beat a team with playing on 2 different teams in the same season was all the way back in like 1964, right? Do you really think the Packers want to be on that end of history? You start the Packers.
Yep. We are still about 10 minutes behind on questions, folks. We are going to get to every question. I guarantee it, but we are going to knock some segments out here. Remember, folks, if you like what you're hearing, hit that like button. If you want to hear it again next week or tomorrow night or next Monday or next Tuesday or all the times we go live, hit that subscribe button. If you happen to be listening on Apple or Spotify, hit that follow button. And if you want to keep talking fantasy football after this show ends, we do have a completely free Discord. Josh is dropping the link in the chat right now. If you guys want to join that, it's completely free. We talk fantasy in there all the time. We answer a lot of start sit questions. We'll take great care of you guys
too.
Yeah, and trade questions. If you've never tuned into an episode of this, I see a lot of new names. How we typically break this show down is upside, downside, and my streams of the week. Upside is we're calling our shots. We swing for the fences. The records are not great, but we're trying to tell you guys who we think are really good plays. Sometimes we get a little hyperbolic when we make our picks. Josh, you got 2 picks for us this week. You did not do so well last week, but again, the players didn't do terrible. They just didn't quite hit your expectations. Give me your picks. Talk to us about them.
Yeah, so my 2 picks this week, J.K. Dobbins, top 15, quote, at the Giants. That game is in London. And the one I'm going to focus on this week, Stephon Diggs, 16-plus fantasy points at the Saints. I was excited about Diggs heading into the season. It just turned out he needed to knock off the injury rust after tearing his ACL last season. But he's been on fire the last 2 games, 2 straight 100-plus yard performances after the Patriots got a huge win in Buffalo. They traveled to New Orleans, where the Saints have been dominated by opposing wide receivers. They've allowed 69 or more yards and a touchdown each game to opposing wide receiver ones. And I'm taking the Giants out of this equation because they don't have a wide receiver one now that Malik Neighbors is gone. But the Saints have only yielded 29 fantasy points per game to opposing wide receivers, which is the 7th fewest. But where they've struggled is with top targets. That is what Diggs is in this Patriots 100%. Offense. He's bringing a savvy route running to the field. He should very easily see 6 for 100 or some combination of 16 fantasy points. I'm all on board Diggs this week. And again, people are going to see the red next to the name for the matchup because the Saints are scoring that.
They're going to
disregard that. This is a smash matchup for Diggs against the Saints.
Josh, our viewing audience has me fucking pegged. And I am the happiest person in the world. I'm just going to throw this comment up on the screen as I announce my upside for the week. Stephen George says, Ryan, I really need Bill to score a touchdown this week. So please do not make him your 2-touchdown special.
Don't worry, Stephen. He's jinxing somebody else.
Folks, if you've never tuned into an episode of No Punt Intended, about 2 years ago, I started predicting 2-touchdown games from players. And it has been awful. In the betting world, and I've said this before, if you get 3 of these right for a season, it pays for your whole season. If you throw $5 on every one of these bets and you get 3 right, and I usually get 3 right. I don't think I've gotten 1 right yet this season. I actually haven't tracked it, but it hasn't been pretty. That's for sure. And that is why the curse of the 2-touchdown special is being now asked to not be put on certain players. So let me get into my upside and see if I can make Stephen George happy or sad here. My first pick is Jordan Love is a top 5 quarterback this week against the Cincinnati Bengals. And my 2-touchdown special is Ashton Genty against the Tennessee Titans. Bill is safe. I went with another running back. So no worries there. You don't have to worry about Bill. I don't ever talk about the 2-touchdown special. It's all fun. I do think Genty will smash. I think he's going to be my first one right, but I always think he is. Josh, as we already talked about, Joe Flacco is not fixing the Cincinnati Bengals. He is certainly not fixing the Bengals defense. In fact, if you think that turnovers have been what's hurting the Bengals defense, Joe Flacco only has 2 fewer than Jake Browning, as I mentioned earlier in the show. Not much is going to change here. Every quarterback since week 2 has thrown multiple touchdowns against the Cincinnati Bengals. 2 weeks ago, Bo Nix went for 326 and 2 touchdowns. Last week, Jared Goff went for 258 yards and 3 touchdowns. And before Jordan Love went into his bye, 337 yards and 3 touchdowns. I think he is a smash this week. I think starting Flacco, his first week on a short week, is an absolute mistake by the Cincinnati Bengals. And I actually think we could see them be worse this week than they were last week. And I think Jordan Love, as I mentioned, is a top 5 play.
Yeah, I love Jordan Love this week. I was very close. Speaking of that Packers-Cowboys matchup, I was very close to picking Dak as my smash play of the week because he's just been on absolute fire. But I like going with position players over quarterback. So,
yeah, basically what I do is I usually update my rankings after I do the matchup reports on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. And then I go in and I look for a player who's somewhere that most people wouldn't expect them. And Jordan Love is like the QB 15 in fantasy right now. So for me to have him as the QB 5 this week, I think he's a great play.
Oh, I like it.
Now, what's interesting, though, is I do like Jordan Love a lot, but don't get me wrong. A lot of this is me not liking some other quarterbacks this week. Obviously, Lamar Jackson's hurt. There's some interesting matchups where I'm like, I'm going to steer clear of those and go with the team or the guy who's playing the Cincinnati Bengals. Thank you guys for listening to me and Josh's takes. Now let's get back into your teams. There was a follow-up question to would we trade straight up? Yes, we would. Would we throw in Chase Brown or Michael Carter to get Pollard? I guess Carter, because he's temporary.
Yeah, I mean, if you can take advantage of the hype on Carter to get Pollard, I would do that. But I'm also not opposed to trading Chase Brown to get Pollard either.
See, I wouldn't do that, but I definitely, I would start my offer. If your offer is not out there yet, or even if it is, modify it. I would start my offer with Addy and Carter for Ferguson and Pollard. I like that a lot. This is a tough one, Josh. Bo Nix or Caleb Williams this week? Nix has at the Jets. Caleb Williams is obviously at Washington. I just called that my game of the week. But honestly, I like the Jaden Daniels side a little bit better than the Caleb Williams side, Josh. I'm going Bo Nix at the Jets, even though it's in London. So
I'm leaning Williams.
It's
and
close.
the biggest reason why is
it's not in London.
Nix just isn't running as much this year.
Yeah.
He's currently 15th among quarterbacks in rushing yards. Like, that's not the kind of upside that we thought we would be getting this season. Which also, fun fact, 15 quarterbacks have topped 100 rushing yards so far this season. I find that really interesting.
Wow.
Clearly a shift in the position. But he has 100 yards and 1 touchdown rushing. That's kind of the advantage that we have there. But Caleb Williams is actually running more and passing better. So I think for me, it's pretty easily Caleb Williams. Like, Washington's defense doesn't scare me one bit. And Caleb Williams he's starting to feel more comfortable in that offense. They get the bye week to kind of work out some of those inconsistencies.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Williams is going to come out looking so incredible from this bye week.
As I mentioned earlier in the show, I update my rankings during the show, and I've talked to myself. I'm on Caleb Williams as well. We are actually in agreement here. Just so you guys know, while Josh is answering questions, if you see me making faces, it's almost never at Josh's answer. I'm usually reading coming up questions. And Josh, this one is wild to me. Bronson can trade Derrick Henry to get Lamar Jackson and Swift. It is a 2 QB league, and he already has Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, and Daniel Jones. I'm making this trade for the lulz, baby. Like, this is wild.
Yeah, right. This is like acquiring Infinity Stones at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, if you can get Lamar Jackson to pair with Josh Allen, use Kyler and
then you get to use Kyler and Daniel Jones to go get other players. Absolutely.
Yeah, like Swift is he's fine. Honestly, at this point, I would almost favor Swift over Derrick Henry, which feels even wild to say.
And he doesn't even have to start him. He has Jacobs, Javonte, and Bill. So
yeah, exactly. You really don't need to
make this trade
at all.
You're going to, if you were starting Lamar and Allen, you were winning a 2 QB championship.
Because then you could package Daniels with with Bill probably, but take advantage of the hype, get another improvement at running back or whatever your wide receivers look like. Maybe find an improvement there. Like, I mean, again, you're starting 2, so it makes sense to have it at minimum 3. Yeah, it's
Steven said that trade's getting vetoed.
No vetoes in fantasy.
Not wrong. James Coffey, in a full PPR league, do we see upside for Kyle Monangai? Sure. I mean, DeAndre Swift ain't it. Like, DeAndre Swift ain't it, but I just don't know that they're going to what Monangai was a 5th or a 6th round pick. I don't 7th. I would need to have a deep bench before I'm holding Kyle Monangai.
Yeah, I mean, they talk about him a lot, which really just kind of tells me that Roschon Johnson's just the odd man out. But DeAndre Swift clearly isn't the guy. Like, he's really not performing much at all. Like, this offense is very pass heavy. So I think there's going to be opportunity for Monangai.
Yeah,
but I'm not like rushing to grab him or hang on to him. But at the same token, too, the same way that we've been fighting to grab Kamani Vidal and Woody Marks off waivers, if something were to happen to Swift, Monangai is going to be the next guy up. So I think if you have the roster spot and, he's there, it's fine. But he's not going to have the kind of value in a PPR league because he doesn't catch a ton of passes.
Yeah. Swivit, trade Bajan and JMO for JSN and Breece Hall. Josh, this is a tough ass trade because it's literally you're the value you're losing at running back, you're gaining at wide receiver pretty easily. When you look at his team, I'm going to imagine this is Travis. He has Bucky Irving and Travis Etienne, and then he has Ladd McConkey and Mike Evans. He has needs at every fucking position just because of injuries and people not performing the way they're supposed to. With Bucky Irving likely to miss this week, I think his need is greater at running back, but it's not like Breece Hall is an enormous step back, but Breece Hall's also on bye coming out of this London game.
Yeah. I mean, this is just a matter of, do you value the wide receiver position more than the running back position, in my opinion?
Yeah.
Because
I'm not trading Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, and that's the other side of it. Like, I don't love getting Bijan. Like, I would probably want another piece on top of JSN and Breece Hall. Like, I understand Jameson Williams is not really anything. Like, that is a massive upgrade to JSN. Like,
100%.
It's not, to me, the drop off from JSN to Jameson Williams isn't anything close to what it is from Bijan to Breece Hall.
So stats say you make this trade.
Yeah, I mean, if you're plugging this into like a trade calculator, or if it's on ESPN, they're going to tell you the JSN side. But to me, it just depends on what you value in your lineup more.
Yeah, what do you feel
value running back more? Or because again, you're going to get points from Breece Hall. At this point, you're not getting any points from Jameson Williams.
Yeah, he's a wasted player.
He's a roster clogger at this point. They're just not throwing him the football.
The biggest concern here is you may not get Mike Evans back anytime soon, and that makes JSN way more valuable.
Agreed.
Make the trade.
And Bucky's injury, I think, is short term. Ladd should bounce back. You pair JSN with Ladd, even if you don't get much Mike Evans. Yeah, I think we kind of talked ourselves.
Because you also have Travis Etienne. I'm assuming that's Travis. Travis Etienne and Breece Hall while you're waiting out Bucky is not a bad thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Jeff Rogers, Kendrick Bourne, Cam Scatabo, Tony Pollard at the flex.
Titans have the Raiders. Give me Pollard.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing. Pollard feels like a smash play this week. If not this week, when?
Correct. Yeah.
AJ Brown or Michael Pittman. Josh, I feel like especially if Saquon misses, and I don't know where we stand on that.
Saquon's going to play.
Okay, Saquon is playing. Then
he was a full participant today. So
it's Michael Pittman then.
Actually,
it's
Pittman
not
is the safer.
It's not Michael Pittman. I forgot who my downside is this week. It is not Michael Pittman. It is AJ Brown, folks. Trust me.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Colts with the Cardinals. I mean, you beat the Cardinals on the ground.
Cardinals have shut down wide receivers this season,
which is crazy to me because Will Johnson, I think, has only played one game.
I mean, spoiler alert, I'll talk about my no touchdown for my downside. Or no, maybe he is my no touchdown. Yeah, he's my no touchdown. So I can talk about this now. The Cardinals have only given up touchdowns to one wide receiver this whole season. Hunter Renfrow has 2 touchdowns against the Cardinals. No other wide receiver has found the end zone.
Wow. Well, this is what I will say. Pittman is the safe play, in my opinion, because he's still a volume wide receiver, right? AJ Brown, this matchup is set up for him to absolutely smash. Not only the narrative about, Hurts and Saquon pulling him aside, having a 2-hour conversation and all these types of things. But like the Giants are allowing the 3rd most fantasy points to wide receivers through 5 weeks, and they've given up 1 touchdown per week. Smitty got his 100 yards last week. This is the squeaky wheel gets the grease narrative, right? Like this is set up for an AJ Brown smash. And even if AJ Brown smashes, Saquon Barkley can still do what he needs to do to bounce back, right? He had over 160 yards in one of the games against the Giants. Obviously, him beating up on the Giants is a fun narrative, etc. But there's plenty of room for both Barkley and AJ Brown to smash. AJ Brown is 100% your ceiling play. I understand you have to make this decision because it's Thursday. If you're looking at your matchups and the projected points and all these things, if you're not in a very close matchup, like if you feel that you need to chase points, I'm plugging AJ Brown into that lineup.
There you go. I'm going AJ Brown regardless. Jaquarius, are the Raiders and Brandon McManus good streaming options this week? I'm going to start with McManus. Just popped up with a questionable tag. I don't like to fuck with kickers with questionable tags, and it's an outdoor game. I'm not going to stream an outdoor kicker with a questionable tag if I don't have to. Right now, McManus is my kicker 15. I'm not playing him this week.
I have no opinions on kickers because they're not people. So
go get Cameron Dicker, or not Cameron Dicker. I'm sorry. Michael Badgley. I guarantee he's out there for the Colts right now. You play the offense. I normally McManus, if he wasn't questionable, would be a good option. Josh, I was back and forth with the Raiders the entire time I was making my streaming list this week, and I decided to not make them one of my 5 streaming options. The Raiders defense sucks, plain and simple. They fell as my defense 20. When I look at the options out there for actual streaming, the Patriots, The Jaguars, yes, the Jaguars. Woods Girl, I believe, is in the chat right now. We're about to get their question next. The Jaguars are only rostered in 27% of leagues right now.
That is asinine.
The Jaguars, the Patriots, the Rams against Baltimore, the Chargers against Miami, the Bills against Atlanta. I'm taking all of these teams over the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm not bought in, Josh. I know they're going to get after the quarterback, but they always get after the quarterback, and it's not doing shit for them this season.
Yeah, I've seen some people talk about the Raiders, and the common narrative is anytime you have, a defense going against a rookie quarterback, they're a pretty easy streaming option. Cam Ward obviously hasn't really looked the part this season. I think getting that comeback win against the Cardinals will do a lot for his self-confidence.
Yeah.
Getting Ridley back involved definitely made a huge difference against the Cardinals. There's really nothing attractive to me about the Raiders. And I do think, like you said, there are better options available on waivers.
Yep. Like I said, they were originally going to be in my top 5. I couldn't even fit them into my top 5 full article, and that'll be out tomorrow for my streaming quarterback, tight end, and defense. Woods Girl, sorry if you apologize if we already talked about it. You know what, Woods Girl? You're a regular here. Even if we did talk about it, which we didn't, we'd still talk about it again for you. Is Chris Godwin a hold? Is Kendry Miller a hold? Would you drop one of them to make room for Jalen Coker? Or would you drop, I guess, 2 of them maybe to have a burn spot at the end of your roster? Josh, I've talked about this all week. I know everybody felt great about stashing Jalen Coker. I'm not stashing Jalen Coker. I am holding Godwin and Kendry far ahead of Jalen Coker, and I'm not dropping either one of them just to have a burn spot on my roster.
Yeah, I'm not either. I'm not a self-proclaimed cokehead like some of these other people in the fantasy industry, which I think is the wildest fucking nickname.
Is that a thing?
It is, yeah. Again, an undrafted free agent from like 2 years ago. That's what everybody's like going
Holy
nuts
Cross
over.
Or
yeah, exactly.
Fun
story, cool, great. How many pieces of this Panthers passing offense do we truly want? Let's be real here, because Tedero McMillan is barely safe, it feels like.
Yes. Woods Girl, thank you. So we're so helpful. Won both their leagues last week with high scores.
Love it.
Turns out we know what we're talking about sometimes. We are currently 15 minutes behind questions, folks. I'm going to knock out a segment. We will get to some more questions. I promise you every question will be answered, even if it's a lightning round at the end of the show. If you still have questions after we do wrap up at the end of the show, I will remind you we do have a Discord. Josh dropped the link in the description. He also dropped it in the chat a few times. Josh, one more time, let folks know what we got going on with Trophy Smack before we move on to our downsides.
Yeah, the fantasy football season's here, and Trophy Smack is where you want to get all your rewards. They have trophies, rings, championship belts, all designed to tell your league mates who the real champion is. Hit the link in the description of this podcast and check out some of the swag that you can get to gloat and lord your accomplishments over your league mates. All of it's available at trophysmack.com/club fantasy. And I'm dropping the link in the Discord in the chat one more time.
As I mentioned, upsides, we shoot for the moon. We talk to you about players that we think are going to do really great. We call top 5 plays. Sometimes they're number 6 instead of number 5, so we don't look like we know what we're talking about. Downside, when we tell you someone's going to suck, we're actually pretty damn good at this. Though last week, Josh had a bit of a rough week. We won't talk about that. I didn't miss
by much either. That's
the thing. They were still bad. They just weren't that bad. But Josh, go ahead and talk to me about the 2 picks you have this weekend. Let us know about one of them.
Oh, let's see. Where am I at this week? Dalton Kincaid outside the top 12 against Atlanta. They're allowing the fewest fantasy points to opposing tight ends. They've allowed only 17 yards per game. Dalton Kincaid has been very heavily utilized, so maybe he breaks that mold. But they also only gave up 12 yards to Hawkinson and 21 yards to Zach Ertz. So take that for what you will. Be a little trepidatious starting Dalton Kincaid. But I want to talk to you about Justin Fields outside the top 7 versus Denver in London. Now, you're probably thinking I'm fucking nuts because in his 3 full starts this season.
And we do have a Justin Fields question in the chat at one point.
Justin Fields is QB2, QB4, and QB7. Mind you, he's gotten progressively worse if you really want to play it out that way. But Denver has faced 3 quarterbacks this season that are known for their rushing prowess. Those quarterbacks are Daniel Jones, Justin Herbert, who's been really good on the ground this season, and Jalen Hurts. Denver has allowed between those 3 quarterbacks 11 combined rushing yards. Now, I understand that Justin Fields is a very different kind of rushing quarterback. But what those 3 quarterbacks have done this season against Denver, they've thrown for 280 or more passing yards. Fields is going to have to beat the Broncos by throwing the football. Yes, Justin Fields was able to top 280 yards this past week. Took him 46 pass attempts to do that. In 54 career games, Justin Fields has only hit 280 passing yards 6 times.
Wow.
His only reliable target is likely to be blanketed by the reigning defensive player of the year, Patrick Surtain. Who else is he going to get 280 yards throwing the football to?
Mason Taylor.
Justin Fields is going to have to run his ass off, and Denver plays rushing quarterbacks extremely well. So I am very much tempering my expectations with Justin Fields this week against Denver in London.
There you go. For my downside, I did a little bit better than Josh last week. I'm really good at telling you people who are not going to score touchdowns. And I've already told you Michael Pittman against Arizona, not scoring a touchdown. We don't need to talk anymore about it. I got to the show sheet before Josh, so I know for a fact I probably stole his downside this week because it's my downside because I've done so many shows with Josh already this week. Darren Waller is not a top 10 tight end this week taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. You do not fuck with Derwin James, plain and simple. Tight ends against the Chargers, the whole position against the Chargers are averaging 3 catches for 29 yards on the season. Only 2 tight ends have even hit 10 fantasy points against them, and none have hit 15 fantasy points against them. Let's not forget, Waller had a great game last week. It all happened in the first half. In the second half, he got shut down. He can be shut down. And that was against a much worse team than what he's going to be facing this week with Derwin James, a player who specializes taking tight ends out of games. If he can be shut down by anyone, it's going to be the Chargers is what I'm trying to get here. They're going to neutralize him for the entire game because the fact of the matter is this, when you look at that team, you need to stop 3 players. You don't stop a running back unless you're stacking the box. You need to slow down Jalen Waddle. You need to take out Darren Waller. And I think the Chargers are uniquely equipped to make sure Darren Waller does not finish in the top 10 this week, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, Zach Ertz had 1 target and 0 catches this past week. I mean, granted, the 2 very different players. Both of them are a little up there in age.
Both old men.
Being a little bit more, athletic. But yeah, I mean, Darren Waller is likely to struggle this week.
No tight end except Brock Bowers caught 5 against the Chargers. No other tight end has caught more than 3. They've given up touchdowns to 2 different tight ends this year, and nobody has crossed 50 yards, if I remember correctly.
There you go.
Yeah, it's been ugly in them streets. All right, Josh, let's knock out some questions before we get to my stream of the week. Quincy Davis has been waiting for a little while. 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 2 flex, 1 tight end. Christian McCaffrey, Devon Achane, Bill Henderson, Kraft, Waller, Garrett Wilson, Cortland Sutton, Amika Ibuka, T. Higgins, Pearsall. So let's start with the 2 running backs. I mean, it's pretty easy. It's CMC and Achane. Yeah. And you're not starting. Well, you might start Bill. 2 wide receivers, Josh. We're looking at Wilson, Sutton, Ibuka, Higgins, Pearsall. Pearsall's out.
Never sitting Ibuka.
So my question, we're obviously starting Ibuka. We're not starting Pearsall. Josh, is Garrett Wilson going against that defense enough to get Cortland Sutton in there for you?
I think I would be more willing to pivot to Sutton this week. I know Sutton's likely to see a lot of Sauce Gardner, but even Sauce isn't playing up to expectation because the rest of the defense is struggling. So
I still think this is going to come down to it, Josh, because I'm not starting Waller in my tight end or flex. We're obviously starting Kraft there.
Yeah.
So now you got Bill, Hendo, Wilson, Higgins, and you got to start 2 of these guys in your flex. So I think it's Bill, and I think I'm still going Garrett Wilson, even in this shitty matchup.
Yeah, I think you have. I mean, you have to start Garrett Wilson. I would just consider him more as like a flex play this week versus a bona fide like top 10 guy. Because let's be honest here, he didn't do shit until the 4th quarter this past week. You were sweating if you started Garrett Wilson.
Yep.
And again, that's not out of the realm of possibilities. Like, this is what defenses do. Like, if they get up early, they're going to, play prevent and just not give up touchdowns. So,
well, and they'll stop having Surtain follow. They'll let him play his side of the field. And
yeah, exactly.
Yep. Kenneth Walker or Travion Henderson. Travion Henderson is not in a starting conversation for me, Josh. This is Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, I need to see it. And I get it because, you're still dealing with the timeshare splits with Walker. He's been very efficient, but he's only seeing like 10 to 13 carries, give or take. And he's not really they're using him in the passing game, but they're not giving him the touchdown opportunity. So
8 more than Travion Henderson.
Yeah, this is also true. Yeah. And that's really what it boils down to. I think people, again, the Travion Henderson questions are coming from this is why we drafted him, because we believe in the talent and we expect him to shine through.
And Antonio Gibson's
and because
out.
Antonio Gibson's out. So now naturally his workload is going to increase. But again, we've seen it before. We thought Woody Marks's workload would increase after a big breakout week, and we all, got shafted when we started him. So I don't think we need to rush to get Travion Henderson when you have a reliable flex option in Kenneth Walker.
There you go. We literally just called these 2 tight ends our downside, Josh, this week. Obviously, you're not going to cut one of these guys to go get somebody else. So I said not top 10. You said not top 12. I like yours better than mine. Do you like mine better than yours?
I honestly, I would probably rank Kincaid over Waller this week.
There you go. All right, so it's Dalton Kincaid, but we
mostly because I trust Josh Allen more than Tua Tagovailoa.
Hey, great choice there. Yep. So there you go, War Eagle. Sorry, we don't like your tight ends. Jaquarius says Darius Slayton or Golden rest of season. Josh, I'm still going to go with the first round pick that's playing in a better offense. I'm going to go with Matthew Golden if I'm holding to one of these guys for the rest of the year.
If this were Dynasty, I'd say, yeah.
Well, no shit if it were Dynasty.
No, I think it has to be Slayton, just because we don't know when Golden's going to pop. And Slayton has all the opportunity there because he's one of 2.
He's not even playing this week.
Okay, this week. Has Matthew Golden really, quote, played this season? Let's be honest here.
He's dead.
Like, I understand he's playing, but he's not really getting you anything. So, like, the results aren't any different.
And we're probably 2 weeks away from Jaden Reed coming back, which creates a bigger.
And it's just creating more of a cloud over Matthew Golden. Now, again, I like Matthew Golden. I became a fan of his more so during the preseason, because I wasn't in love with that pick when it happened on draft day. But again, they just spread the football around way too much in that Packers offense. Now you're talking about it getting even more clouded when Jaden Reed comes back. Oh, by the way, Christian Watson is working his way back. So then it becomes, where does Matthew Golden fit?
Yeah.
Once Slayton comes back from that hamstring injury, who's he fighting for targets with?
To say Watson was activated this week. He could put Golden out of the job right away.
That's my point, especially because we see this all the time. Like, yes, some rookies pop early, but also some rookies take some time to really get going. Golden might be one of those rookies that takes some time, not necessarily because he can't do it from a talent perspective, but because of the environment around him.
Yeah, and just the nature of the Green Bay Packers. This is the question I was alluding to. Quincy Davis says Fields or Daniels. This is Daniels by a long shot for me.
It's Daniels by a long shot. I mean, play the matchup more than anything. So
yeah, great matchup. Same situation as the last one: 2 wide receiver, 2 running back, 2 flex. Let's start with the running backs. He has Derrick Henry, J.K. Dobbins, Pollard, Bill, Vidal, Spears. I think we both agree you got to start Pollard this week against the Raiders.
I like Dobbins.
And then Dobbins, yeah, I'm willing to bench Henry, though he may fit into the flex later. So we're going to go Pollard and Dobbins. At wide receiver, Josh, he has QJ, Jacoby Myers, Kendrick Bourne, T. Higgins, Cooper Kupp. Yuck.
QJ, definitely. That matchup against Miami is...
Yeah, and then, Josh, I'm going to kind of go back on what you were saying about Bourne earlier. Pearsall's out. I think Bourne's role is fine.
He hasn't officially been ruled out. They're saying that he's trending towards being out.
Yeah, I'm going to go Kendrick Bourne out of this group.
Yeah, I think I
hate Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, you don't feel comfortable starting Jacoby Myers right now.
And then, Josh, I don't like any of these wide receivers. I'm going to go Bill and Derrick Henry in my flex. So I will find a way to get Henry in there.
Yeah. I would say I think you could debate Henry versus T. Higgins, but it's definitely Bill. So like I would be starting Dobbins, Pollard, and Bill here. I would be starting QJ and Bourne. So then that last flex spot kind of comes down to Derrick Henry versus T. Higgins. So I mean, T. Higgins snuck in a late touchdown this past week in garbage time after, Jamar Chase just kind of dominated. I mean, the Ravens got the Rams. They've absolutely just shut down running backs this season. And without Lamar Jackson, I don't know how you can trust Derrick Henry. So
that's fair. Yeah. You know what?
I would be okay with T. Higgins. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Because at the end of the day, I do think T. Higgins offers more upside right now than Derrick Henry without Lamar Jackson. Josh,
this is a wild ass question. Emeka Egbuka and one of the 2 rookie running backs, Bill or Hendo, to get Puka Nacua. I think you have to get Puka, right? He's going to break the NFL record for receptions in a year.
Wow. Yeah, and he's doing it without scoring touchdowns. That's the crazy part right now.
I like Bill. I think Bill's working into his own. I would do Egbuka and Hendo. Trade the Ohio State kids and get Puka Nacua. I would make this trade.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the wide receiver 1 and the wide receiver 3. But again, like, just look at Shit. Ibuka has 62 targets right now. Ibuka has 38.
He almost has double. And they play the same position.
And they've played the same amount of games. Like Ibuka right now, I mean, he has 143 fewer yards, but has 2 more total touchdowns. He has Ibuka has 5.
Yeah,
total,
Ibuka's been living in the
Ibuka has like that. You're talking about 26.8 fantasy points per game for Puka Nacua right now in PPR leagues.
Yeah.
Ibuka has 20.5. It's not close. This is the only way that you could actually get me to trade Emeka Ibuka is if I were to get Puka Nacua in return. If you can trade Ibuka and Henderson to get Puka, that would be my preference. I would much rather hang on to Bill in this instance.
Yep. Josh and I are on the same page. That's exactly the trade I would make.
I just like talking these kinds of things out because it plays better on replay.
Oh, absolutely. And this is the kind of shit. If you wanted to know what it's going to cost to get Puka Nacua,
there it is. The wide receiver 3 in fantasy.
Yeah. Josh, we got 0.5. We're starting one of these guys in the flex. Breece Hall, Travis Etienne, Cortland Sutton, MHJ, Brian Thomas Jr. Jesus, what is your roster? That has got to be a monster roster, Josh. Yeah. From this group,
I'm looking at matchups here.
I'm probably going Etienne against Seattle for me.
That defense is tough.
It's not bad, but
Sutton's got the Jets, right? Yeah, Sutton's got the Jets. Etienne, Seattle, Breece Hall, Broncos. Obviously, Broncos actually they're not great against running backs. And Breece Hall, actually, if anybody remembers. During his rookie season, Breece Hall ran all over the Broncos, and that was the game where he tore his ACL.
Oh, wow.
So he's traditionally done pretty well against Denver. MHJ is going back home playing the Colts. That's a fun narrative. BTJ, I'm not ready to hop on that narrative yet. I feel like ETN is probably the safer bet, even though it is Seattle. I would probably rank them ETN, Sutton, Hall, MHA, BTJ.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I would rank them.
Stephen George asks, the Cardinals best secondary in the league? I'm going to be honest, Josh. I'm not as defensive group minded the way Joe Zola would be able to answer this question far better than me. But I think the Cardinals are probably up there. I think you're looking at the Chargers, but I think certainly Denver is probably the best secondary in the league.
Yeah, I think they're much more loaded at the position overall. I mean, I'm just looking at fantasy points per game. They're very much in the middle of the road. Just to wide receivers alone, they allow 32.2 per game. That's about 15th or 16th.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you want to talk about like best secondary, like Minnesota's absolutely shutting down wide receivers. Oddly enough, Carolina's shutting down wide
that's what I was going to say. The issue is those secondaries suck. I don't know what they're doing this year. It's just they're almost funnels because they're not that good against that. They're not good talent wise. Top 5 low darks had to drop Kyemi Fairbairn to get a kicker, or had to drop Kyemi Fairbairn because he's on bye this week. He's looking at Boswell, who I do like, but for me, Josh, I'm going to focus on the better offenses here. I think the Colts kicker, who is
Michael
Honey Badger, or Chase McLaughlin would be my options here. Stick with the good offenses.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of opinions on kickers. I purposely don't play in very many leagues with them because I fucking hate the position more than anything. Because half the time there's just so many moves, like people cut kickers, sign kickers. I can't fucking keep up with them. But one thing you mentioned in our Discord today when somebody was asking a kicker question, you pay a lot less attention to the actual kicker itself versus the offense, right? And
Spencer Schrader. Here's what I want to say. The person in the Discord was like, Michael Badgley has sucked during his time in the NFL. Spencer Schrader fucking sucked during his time in the NFL. And now he's the number 2 kicker kicking for the Colts. Michael Badgley is a good option this week. So.
Yeah. And Badgley had he was great in Miami when he kicked. Yeah. Right. And he kicked with the Chargers. He kicked with the Lions. Like he's had some successful seasons, at least it started good. And sometimes with kickers, it's the yips. Like that's what it is. Like it's just, sometimes it's ball placement, sometimes it's environment. The Colts have traditionally charted out pretty decent kickers. I mean,
and he's home.
Vanderjack many years ago was really good until he got the yips. Vinatieri came through. He was really great, obviously. Blankenship, when he was there, his rookie season, he was kicking really well until he got the yips. So like kicking indoors is usually a pretty good solver for inconsistencies at the kicker position. So
I just love that Josh just spent this much time on a kicker.
God, I know. I've met my quota for the year. Jesus.
We kind of inadvertently talked about these two players throughout the show, Josh. For me, it's Jordan Love, and it's not very close.
Yeah, it's Jordan Love, 100%.
Yeah. We got New Wave Dave over on Twitch. Should he trade CD and DK for Debo and Cook? I'm not making that trade.
Yeah, I'm not making that trade either. I tend to value wide receivers and their spike weeks more frequently than running backs. Debo Samuel's about to fall off a cliff. He's literally averaging 10 yards per catch. Like that's the most Debo stat line that you're going to get.
Which means it's going to go away.
Yeah, it's going to go away here shortly. Cook had 1 down week, so I'm not like I don't really see this as like he's going to maintain his top 5 position. So like, you know, if you value the running backs, then like I would be okay trading a high value wide receiver like a CD Lamb for a James Cook. That's fine. But I think you're losing a lot giving up DK for Debo, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Don't look at just what Debo is ranked right now.
Yeah.
Quincy, are you fucking with me at this point? No, I'm joking. Completely joking. Would you drop Cooper Kupp for Jalen Coker? Josh, I hate both these players.
Yeah.
And I am not bought into the Panthers offense, even though I'm about to name their quarterback my stream of the week for the second straight week. I'm keeping Cooper Kupp, but I mean, I'm probably dropping him to go get Darius Slayton or somebody else. Like,
honestly, I'm kind of treating Cooper Kupp as like a handcuff wide receiver at this point.
Yeah, I think that's a great point.
Torrey Horton is starting to come into his own. They're utilizing him a lot more as more of an outside threat at wide receiver. Cooper Kupp is running a ton of routes, which is great, but he's not the main focal point of the offense. But he will become that if something were to happen to JSN.
Yep. And
so that's kind of how I'm treating Cooper Kupp right now. Jalen Coker, again, like maybe, sure, cool, but that Panthers passing offense, how many pieces of it do you really want? Because right now, Tedero McMillan's the only reliable threat there. Like they spent a first-round pick on Xavier Legette, and he had 1 great catch in the end zone, but he's done nothing with the targets that he's been provided.
For what it's worth, part of my hatred of the Panthers is that I cover them in the preseason. Jalen Coker was outperforming Xavier Legette in the preseason. But guess what? Preseason doesn't matter anymore. This offense does not look great, plain and simple. Stash Isaiah Davis or Brashard Smith, Josh. He's asking if Davis is a better stash now that there's Breece Hall trade rumors.
Give me the guy in the better offense. I'm stashing Brashard Smith.
I agree. Because you still got to deal with Braylon Allen. If Breece Hall goes, he'll be back in 2 weeks. Is CZ still out?
Braylon Allen, I think they've ruled him out like 8 to 12, honestly. Like,
I thought it was just a 4-week deal. Okay, well then Isaiah Davis gets a little interesting. I was looking up CD Lamb today, Josh. He is not officially out this week, but then like 2 hours ago, they said they think he'll be back in the next 2 weeks, which tells me his ass ain't playing this week. So,
yeah, I wouldn't rely on CD Lamb this week. I mean, who would I flex outside of that? I'm not flexing Algier for starters. It's BTJ.
I'm sticking with BTJ. He actually started to look a little bit better last week.
Yeah, well. I don't like burning a flex spot on an upside tight end because you're more likely to get 3 points from one of those tight ends versus the 15 spot that one of these guys might put up.
Shout out New Wave Dave for the follow. We appreciate anybody following us over on Twitch.
Love that.
Yep, absolutely. Quincy needs to drop 2 for a kicker and a defense. No one wants to trade with him because he's 5-0. So he has to drop, Kraft, Waller, Henderson, Higgins, or Pearsall. Has to drop 2 of these guys. Josh, I know it breaks your heart, but he has Tucker Kraft. You're cutting Darren Waller first. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, which I hate to do that. I hate cutting good players for starters. I'd rather try and trade them in like 2-for-1 deals.
Like he said, no one's going to trade.
Yeah, no one's going to trade with them. So that's the downside.
I'm not cutting a running back. So this comes down to Higgins or Pearsall. If it were my team, I don't know.
I'm cutting Waller and Pearsall.
Well, I'm taking Josh's advice because guess what? If this were my team, I would have asked Josh what to do. Keelan Dulcich, thoughts on starting the Packers defense? God, champagne problems. I love this for you. I think the Colts are my number 1 defense this week. No, they're not. I'm sorry. Colts are 5. Packers are 3. I'm going Packers, Josh.
Yeah, give me the defense. Starting a defense versus a rookie quarterback, starting a defense against an old-ass 40-year-old quarterback. They kind of go hand in hand for me. I'm starting the Packers, who, by the way, have a good defense. It's not like the Raiders.
Chuba or Debo in a flex for a 0.5 PPR. I don't know what's going on with Chuba. I'll go Debo. I know we don't love him, but it's a good game environment.
Yeah, it's Debo until we get any kind of word on Chuba. If Chuba plays, I think I'm still going Debo.
Yeah. Marvin, you asked this earlier in the show. We are all for Chuba as a trader. Maybe you didn't ask, someone did. We do think Chuba is a trade option. Float him out there. See what people are.
You're just not going to get good value for him. That's all.
Yeah, like Josh did bring that up. Trading him right now after Rico Dotto went for 200 is lowering his value.
Yeah.
Would you move Kamara, Hawkinson, Strange, Marks for BTJ? So you're trading Kamara, Hawk, Brenton Strange, who's hurt, and Woody Marks all for BTJ.
I want the best players, BTJ.
BTJ, and you just picked up 3 roster spots for not great players. Make that trade. I had someone trying to shop me TJ Hawkinson today as a top tight end and a tight end premium. I'm like, this dude.
Man, remember when I talked about how TJ Hawkinson wasn't the top 5 option that people were drafting him at in the season? Man, if people had listened to me in the offseason, holy shit.
All right, Josh, we just hit the hour and 15-minute mark. I'm going to knock out stream of the week real quick. That way we can finish the show up with questions. Every week, if you guys have never tuned in, I give you a quarterback, a tight end, and a defense that are available typically in about 50% of ESPN leagues. And then tomorrow morning, I'll put out an article with a top 5 at each of those positions. But let's get ready for the stream of the week. Week 6 stream of the week, all available in about 50% of ESPN leagues. At quarterback, we are running it back with Bryce Young. He's taking on the Dallas Cowboys. He was pretty decent last week, 198 yards, 2 touchdowns, but now he gets the worst defense in fantasy football. Quarterbacks are averaging over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Cowboys. Young should easily hit 20 fantasy points this week. At tight end, I'm going back to the rookie, Harold Fannin. You get a new quarterback in Cleveland. He seems to love tight ends. You got that rookie connection between he and Fannin. Yes, David Njoku is going to get his, but Pittsburgh is bad against the tight end. 7th most points allowed to the position. There's going to be plenty of work for Njoku and Fannin. On defense and special teams, how in the world are the Jacksonville Jaguars, the number 1 fantasy defense, available in enough leagues? They lead the league in takeaways. They've already scored 2 touchdowns, and now they face a team that is averaging more than a turnover per game. Yes, please give me the Jaguars against the Seahawks. Those are your week 6 streams of the week. Full article available tomorrow.
Love it. Let's do the underdog props, and then we'll finish up with
questions. Let's do that, and then we'll just finish everything up with questions. So, Josh, if you want to go ahead and get us started on the underdog props, I'll get the banner up for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we like to do is kind of give a couple of props. I mean, we try to do one for each team, but Ryan apparently didn't get the memo when I picked the Eagles guy.
I forgot we did that. I'm gonna be honest, that's on me.
That's all right. But you can build your pick'ems, parlays, whatever around that on Underdog. If you sign up using code WOFF, that's WOFF, get yourself a free pick and a first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. I'm going with Dallas Goedert higher than 0.5 rushing receiving touchdowns. Basically, it's an anytime touchdown prop. Juices it up a little bit, 1.53 times. Dallas Goedert has 4 touchdowns in his last 3 games. He is doing the damn thing. And when the team gets in the red zone, instead of running it with Hurts or Barkley, they're keeping teams guessing by running Dallas Goedert on the exact same route where he catches a touchdown on. Again, Giants are just a terrible team. You can go up and down the field on this defense. Eagles are going to find themselves in the red zone quite frequently on Thursday night. I think Dallas Goedert's easy for a touchdown this week to make it 5 and 4 games.
If you need one for the Giants, look at Cam Scatterbo's receiving stat. That's where I would lean on this. But for my pick this week, I went with Devonta Smith higher than 50 yards, 50.5 yards. The fact of the matter is the Giants just get beat up by wide receivers. In the last 3 games, in 3 of the last 4 games, 2 wide receivers have hit 50 yards in the same game against them. So this is not a situation where either Smith or Brown needs to perform. They can both perform. Smith is coming off 114 yards. Josh, I think he's safe for 50 this week.
Yeah, I was going to say another one I like with Dallas Goedert. What's cool about Underdog, they provide lines for fantasy points, which I think is really cool. So their line is based on half PPR. Goddard's line is 7.65 half PPR. I like the higher there. In every game this season that Dallas Goedert has played, he has scored no less than 7.9 half PPR points.
I like that. That is pretty fun. It's half PPR, like Josh said, so make sure you know the scoring over there. All right, Josh, let's get out of here. We got Marvin Cano, 10-team Dynasty League, not tight end premium. Will we hold Brian Thomas Jr.? What's his value right now? His value is certainly not what it was, and he is definitely a hold in Dynasty. Unless someone's offering me close to last year, and you mentioned his value was 101 last year,
or close
I'm not
to
moving
it,
him. Yeah, I don't need to. I'm not going to sell him for less.
Yeah, I have BTJ on a couple of Dynasty teams. I'm definitely not in the mindset of, you know what, I got to get rid of this guy. He's in his second fucking season, in his first year with the new offense. Like, let's just give it time. Like, that's what Dynasty's about. It's about seeing through the process. BTJ broke out his rookie season. Sure, maybe it's coming back down to earth a little bit this year, but that doesn't mean sell him lower than what his value was.
You got to have patience. That's why Ryan Flournoy is already on like 3 of my dynasty teams because I knew this was coming. Anyway.
And then you take advantage and sell him for a second round pick.
Exactly. Keenan Dolich debating on starting Trey Tucker or Malik Washington with Lamb out. Josh, you get into these situations. I'm going to go Tucker. He's had enough good weeks. It's boom or bust. You're just hoping you hit the boom. Malik Washington hasn't showed me anything. Yeah,
Malik Washington is going to be the 4th option in that passing game. Trey Tucker is probably along those same lines, but we've seen big boom weeks from Trey Tucker that we haven't seen from Malik Washington. So Tennessee's defense leaves a lot to be desired as well. All it takes is one good Geno week. Trey Tucker balls out. I would still go Tucker over Washington. 4KT Owen wants to know, is Tucker Kraft or Hunter Henry? It's Tucker Kraft. It's not close. It's Tucker Kraft, yeah. And I like Hunter Henry. It's still not close. Agreed. Already got that one. Oh, no, Hunter Henry at the flex. Now, that's interesting because how are all these questions so tied into one another? Where do I have Henry? I have Henry at tight end 7 against New Orleans. Josh, I would start him over Trey Tucker. He's much safer. Yeah, I agree. I think the hesitation with Hunter Henry is the same thing with every tight end. And we saw it this past week against Buffalo, where I think he only had like 3 fantasy points or something along those lines. But Trey Tucker could do that too. I was going to say, you could very easily, I mean, that's basically his season average outside of an 8, catch 3 touchdown game. So, I think their floors are similar-ish. Tucker has the better ceiling. Don't get me wrong, but Henry is more likely to get you 12 fantasy points. I agree. Yeah, I would be okay with Henry. Oh, and I think you just missed us answering this for you. We love Tucker Kraft. We don't hate Hunter Henry as much as I initially alluded to, but we love Tucker Kraft. Correct. Just answered that one. We got Sutton, Kamara for Gibbs and Shakir as quickly as you possibly can. That's all I have to give up to get Jahmyr Gibbs. Smash. Yeah, Ezekiel, I'm sorry it took us this long to answer this question because I hope it did not cost you this trade. Smash accept. Winning Jahmyr Gibbs for this is winning the lottery. Congratulations. New Wave Dave, trade CD for Achane and Sutton. I'll make that trade, Josh. I like. Yeah, you're definitely more on the running back side of things. Yeah. Again, I mean, I don't hate that. I mean, you're still getting a top 24 wide receiver. You're getting a top 5 upside RB. I will say this better be PPR. Yeah, I was going to say it's got to be PPR. That's the only way that I want Achane in fantasy football. Nino Pena, a redraft. Would we send CMC and Jacoby for Jacobs, Tet, and Troy Franklin? Not enough for me to move CMC. Oh, God, no. I mean, I like Jacobs. Don't get me wrong. Teterow has done well. He's a definite upgrade over Jacoby, but that's not enough for me to part with CMC. Nope. He's looking for wide receiver help on that previous trade. He said right now he has Jacoby, Diggs, Elick. Diggs is stepping up. I'm not moving. If you're giving CMC, get a better wide receiver than Teterow. There you go. Do you think it's worth dropping Malik Washington for Kendry Miller as quickly as you can? Josh and I have been talking a lot about Kendry Miller this week. And the thing I keep coming back to, and Josh has heard this 7 times now because of how many damn shows he does with me. Kendry Miller is 23 years old. He is younger than RJ Harvey, despite being in the league for 3 years at this point. Kendry Miller is worth a stash. If that Kamara trade comes true, you're going to be happy you have Kendry Miller. Yeah. And I think this is a really good time to kind of bring up strategy when you're trying to fill these bottom of the roster spots on your bench. Do it with backup running backs, not the 4th or 5th target in the passing game in a respective offense. Such a good point, Josh. When I'm making cuts, I made a bunch of cuts today because I play the whole game with kickers and defenses and everything. I go, does one injury or one trade make this guy more valuable? And it does for running backs more than Malik Washington. I don't know what it takes for him to become more valuable. I was going to say that one injury already happened at wide receiver, and he's not more valuable. He still needs another one, possibly 2 more. Exactly. To really become relevant in Miami. Go get Kendry Miller, Keenan. Asian Aaron Reviews has Keenan Allen, Sutton, Worthy, and Waddle. He can only start 3, so we have to bench one of these, and he'd like a reason as well. We got you, Aaron. So we're got to bench one of Keenan, Sutton, Worthy, or Waddle. Did Worthy do Sutton enough? Has the worst cornerback matchup against Sauce Gardner. That's what I will say. There is that. Keenan going against Miami, that's a good matchup. Who's KC got this week? I think they're one of the late games this week. They've got the Lions. Terry and Arnold's out.
Yeah,
their secondary is again taking a beating. That team is going to throw the football. So I'm very well fine starting Xavier Worthy because they move him around so much. I don't love the matchup for Waddle, but I would
Waddle is my lowest ranked of all of these. And it's because that Chargers secondary has played very well. And it goes back to what I said. They only have to shut down one player. And I think it could be Waddle. I'm going to say this is a tough one. This is a good problem to have.
Well, and for me, this boils down to Waddle versus Sutton, right?
Actually, I'm going to go all the way back. You don't know what you're getting from Keenan Allen. There are too many other options that could pop there. Everybody else is their team's option. I'm benching Keenan Allen, and my reasoning is too many mouths to feed.
I would say if the Jets focus on shutting down Sutton, they have plenty of other options to throw the football to because Sean Payton loves his flavor of the week. I personally would sit Sutton.
There you go. So Sutton or Keenan, depending on which one of us you want to believe. You're new to the show. You should probably trust Josh. Tyler said, should you start Monty? Or wait, no, should he trade Monty and Swift for Bucky and Warren? Other running backs are Javonte, Etienne, and White.
Bucky's the best piece of this trade.
And he already has the handcuff built in. Make that trade.
Yep,
for sure.
I would make that trade 100%. Sell Monty high. That's basically the answer to this question.
Neek Killju has to start either Teteroa McMillan or Stephon Diggs or Kamara or Dottle. So we're looking at a flex option there. He says Chuba has a 13% chance to play. Where the hell are you getting that statistic, my friend?
That's such a Barney Stinson from How I Met Your Mother statistic. Yeah. 87% of the time it works. All Josh,
whatever. I'm starting. Stephon Diggs is not finding my bench for the couple of weeks. So.
Not at all. It's Stephon Diggs.
Look, folks, you guys have been amazing. We're getting out of here at a decent hour. We appreciate each and every one of you. Josh has another show to do in 2 minutes. We've answered every question. We love you guys. This show will be live again next Wednesday. Josh and I will be live again Monday. If you have more start-sit questions every Saturday here on Club Fantasy YouTube channel, we go live at 11 a.m. till 12 or till every question is answered. No show sheet. All we do is answer your questions. So if you have more start-sit questions, jump in the Discord. Follow us on Saturday. You'll see me and Josh again. Well, you won't see me on Monday because I have a dentist appointment, but we'll get you. Long and short of it is we do a lot of shows. Hit that subscribe button. We appreciate you guys. And Sneaky Flex tomorrow night. Next time Club Fantasy is on air. Appreciate you. Have a good night.